What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to my 240SX project back here. After sitting basically all winter and doing nothing to really any of my cars, it's time for me to get back to work and get some stuff accomplished. So this video is going to be about replacing the hood on the 240 and how to restore, repair, repaint used hood is really what this is going to be about. See, I found a guy just 1 hour from my house who parts out a bunch of 240s and other imports, and he had one on a parts car. And so that is this one here. I hope you can see that. The sun's really kind of bright. I can't hardly see the screen. But anyway, this is the one he had. It's in better shape than mine by a long shot, but it does have its own problems. So this is a steel Sylvia hood, and he made me a really good price on it. But it's going to take quite a bit of work to get it nice again, which is okay. My other one took a lot of work to get it nice too. That's just kind of the price you pay with old, rare, hard to find body parts for any car, really. So one of the issues we have here is the tip has been mangled quite a bit. It's all there though. So I think I can just basically sand and putty that and get it sanded then back into a presentable state. It's got a rather large dent right here. It's not very deep though. It is kind of right on that ridge, so we'll see what we get into with that. Same thing on this corner here. It's just been kind of brutalized. I don't even understand. I guess somebody bent it and then bent it back. That's probably what happened, so I'm gonna have some fun trying to kind of make that edge smooth and look good again. And then there was something on the front edge I think is bent. Yeah, right here. It's kind of been dropped on its front edge, I think. So you can probably see right there where this whole edge is just bent down a little bit. So I'm going to try to hammer and dolly that back up. Hopefully I can get that straight. And really that's it as far as damage that I've been able to find so far. The rest of it is just figuring out how to remove all these layers of spray paint, I guess. I went to the body shop yesterday after that last clip, and I picked up some supplies, not at the body shop, but at the paint supply store actually. So anyway, this is what I got to do this job. I got some more Scotch-Brite pad because I was basically out of that stuff for a long time anyway, so I got 2 of those. I got some spreaders for the body filler, which I'll show you here in a second, and I picked up some 80 grit DA paper, so 80 grit sandpaper for the DA sander, which I have right here. And then I picked up some 150 grit, and then I've got these other grits that I've had for a long time here. So I've got all that for the DA. And what else did I get? I got the body filler itself. So I just picked this up off the shelf there, and they said it's a good filler, kind of a general purpose Bondo, but it's not Bondo brand. It's Dolphin, I guess. Then I got primer. So I just told them what I'm doing, and they pulled a primer off the shelf and mixed it up for me, or shook it up for me, and gave me the activator, or I guess it's called hardener. So you need the primer and the hardener, and then they said you actually need a reducer, which I have over there. I've had that for a long time, so I'm gonna mix this. They said to do it in a 4 to 1 to 1 ratio, so 4 parts primer to 1 part hardener to 1 part reducer. So we'll be mixing that up and spraying it, and then I have a spray gun up in the shelf. I'll pull that down later, but right now, we're going to get the hood prepped using the sandpaper, and basically I just want to strip off everything and get it down to kind of a uniform appearance, and so I feel better about everything. Plus it's all got to come off anyway for the most part. And then I'm going to start working on the bends. I have a little bend right here as well I forgot about. And then after that it will be time to put some body filler in all the areas that need it, and then we'll sand down the body filler, and then after all that it'll be time to spray primer. Okay guys, so here's where we stand. That took about an hour and a half worth of running the DA, and it took all 5 sheets of 80 grit sandpaper that I had. Here's where we are. I think I've got all the shine off of everything, and I've got 99% of all the black off of everything. So we can now kind of see a little bit more damage. There's a whole dent right here I didn't even know was here. Right there with the black, so that's a low spot right there. I'm gonna have to fill that in. Pretty minor one. I think what I'm most concerned about now is how to repair the edges and the corners. Like this edge right here has been bent down. You can tell this edge right here is down because it's high right here, which means somebody's dropped this hood probably and just rolled this edge under. So I'm gonna come in here with a hammer and try to tap it up until I feel like I did the job. And I won't get it perfect, but I'll do what I can, I guess. And then we'll end up smoothing across this with some putty, sanding most of that off, and then hopefully this will just work itself out. Okay guys, I think everything has come out surprisingly good, better than I expected, to be honest with you. Okay, so first off I gotta get this lid off. It's kind of a weird lid and kind of hard to get off here. It's gotta come out of there. There we go. So that is the weirdest lid I've ever seen. Why is it so deep? I do not know. I don't know about you guys. I absolutely love the smell of body filler. My whole life, ever since I've ever been around cars and body shops, and I used to hang out with guys who would paint cars and rebuild cars from wrecks and stuff. And I'd be in their shop from time to time just drooling over all the cool cars they had. And that is my number one memory, is the smell of the body shop. It always smelled just like that, and smells amazing. Love it. Okay, let's mix up some putty. By the way, it says 2%. You're supposed to put 2% of this for that. How in the world are you supposed to know what 2% is? That's the most ridiculous measurement suggestion I've ever seen. Nobody knows what 2% of a dollop of body putty is. And as far as hardener goes, I don't know what 2% is. Nobody knows, right? So I always thought it was like 1 inch for like one, I don't know. I can't remember. Oh, I think it was like 1 inch per a golf ball size. Was always the rule of thumb, I thought, back in the day. Last time I did this. I don't know, so we'll just see what happens. So I'm mixing on cardboard here. You can mix on a dedicated mixing board if you want. It's probably worth it. I don't know why I didn't buy one. I saw them there. I should have bought one. I guess I'm cheap. But make sure you scrape the board often and turn everything a lot. Get all that hardener mixed in. That's the main thing, is you want the hardener mixed in really well. You don't want any of the putty to not have hardener in it, including the putty that's stuck on your mixer. You want to squeegee it off and mix it back in really good. Turn it a lot. But again, I'm no expert. I'm not even barely an amateur at this. I'm basically worse than an amateur. So again, don't take everything or anything I say as a definite way to do it, because this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's just say that. Entertainment purposes only. All right, let's make a mess. Okay guys, so it's been like 30 minutes and it's pretty set up. It's ever so slightly tacky still, so I think a little more hardener would have been a good idea. But I think it's ready. I've got some 80 grit on a rubber pad. Okay, so here's the first dent all sanded out with the 80 grit. I think the 80 grit was the right choice because it removes the material really fast, and all the rest of the hood was prepped with 80 grit on the DA sander anyway, so it feels like 80 grit's the right thing to do here. Okay guys, so everything is coming out really good. I just did the 80 grit all over all the Bondo sections, or body filler sections I should say, and it took a little while, probably 45 minutes or so, or 30 to 45 minutes to go over all of them and get them shaped down. But this is kind of how they all look now. Nice and feathered out, and everything's feeling really level and smooth, as good as I. Okay guys, it is the next morning and it's time to get back to work on the old hood here. So where we finished up in the last clip and last evening was I put the hopefully final layer of Bondo on a couple of spots to bring them up a bit, and then I sanded them back down with the 80 and got everything feeling real nice and level. And I think now I'm going to jump in with a 150 grit and just go over the entire hood with 150 and then move up to, I guess, 220. Or I could go to 180. That's too small of a jump from 150 to 180. So I'll probably just go straight to the 220 and then the 400, and then it'll be ready for primer, assuming everything looks good and feels good at that point. Okay, so we've got the Z all covered up in case any overspray happens to make its way over the top and filter down. I don't want to take any chances with getting paint on this old girl. She's in pretty fine condition paint-wise. So anyway, she's protected, but here's a, I guess you saw it, but here's a look at the paint booth. This is going to be my door here, and it's 12 foot by 12 foot by 12 foot because that's the size these plastic sheets are that I got from Lowe's. Excuse me, they're like $8 for 3 rolls, so that was good. So anyway, here's the hood. I washed it off with soap and water to get all the dust off of it, and I guess I'm ready to, I'll wipe it down with enamel reducer probably, or wax and grease remover, I guess, and just make sure there's no fingerprints on it. But the bigger issue is I think I'm going to have problems with 2 spots. The corners I think are going to be just fine, but this dent right here and that one right there, they're a mess, as you can see, because it's not a smooth shape. It's all a bunch of different stuff going on here. That means there's a bunch of highs and lows. So I realized partway through that what I'm supposed to be doing here is put body filler all the way out here, all the way out to the edges of your problem, and then use a sanding block, a long foam block that's about as long as your whole problem area, or longer, with sandpaper on it, and then you block sand across the entire area. Okay, so here's what I've got out for spraying the primer. This should be everything I need for the actual spraying section of the project here. So I've got my Harbor Freight paint gun here. I've actually never used this. I've had it for a couple of years sitting around, so hopefully it works well. I took it apart and cleaned it and put it back together like they say to do, so hopefully that guy does the job. And this is just to keep moisture out of the air. That could be a big problem for us because I have a lot of moisture in my lines and I don't have a proper air trap, so we'll see what happens there. Here's the primer I'm using, and here's the reducer for it. Excuse me, there's the primer and the hardener, and then this is the reducer I'm using. So we're going to be mixing this 4 to 1 to 1 using this cup, and you just mix it. You find your 4 to 1 to 1 section, and if you do 13 parts of primer, then you just go up here and add your hardener up to that 13, then you add your reducer up to that 13, and then you've got a perfect ratio. And then strain it all through one of these guys into the top of your cup, and then put your cap on the cup, and away you go. And I've turned the air pressure in my shop down to about 25 psi for this, because that's what Google told me it should be. So hopefully that works out. I don't even have a air pressure regulator on my gun like I should have, so I just use the one on behind my shop on the compressor, turned the whole shop down to 25 psi. So hopefully that goes well and I don't have any problems. Okay guys, very sorry, my phone completely filled up on storage and I could not film the actual shooting of the primer, which was a major bummer. Sorry I wasn't able to film that, but here is the result. I put about approximately 2 coats on it. I did 1 coat, what did I do? I think I did 1 coat this way, and it had some striping in it, so I did another coat this way. I had problems spraying it, the gun. I think the tip was way too small for how thick that primer was. You can see that it just looks about right. I mean, you can see that there's some banding in it, but you know, it's primer, so I guess it didn't really matter so much. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with the end result. I was just super frustrated with the process of getting it done and not being able to film. Actually ticked me off quite a bit, but it's been about an hour and I've kind of calmed down a little bit. So you can see the spray booth. I pulled up this end of it so that I could get the old MR2 back in out of the elements. So I will let this sit for about, I don't know, a day. Maybe tomorrow I can start back on it, and I will sand it down now with, I think, 600 grit, I believe is what they call for. I think I will probably go ahead and buy a sanding block and get the sandpaper that fits on a block instead of the DA, so that I can just block sand this thing out now. And that might help with the levelness of everything. Oh, anyway, quite an emotional, like stressful, I guess, experience trying to get that done today, because I don't do this very often. And it's not my first time, but it feels like my first time because it's been so long since I've done it before. So anyway, all in all, very happy with how it came out as far as the primer stage goes. So next step, like I said, is sand that, and then we'll spray color. So I'll probably cut the video off here, I think, and then the color and clear will be in the next video. But anyway, yeah, happy with how everything went. I will definitely make some changes for next time. Learned a couple of things. Definitely learned that I need a new gun. My gun it's a Harbor Freight cheapie, and I was able to look down inside it and see that there's a passageway inside there that's like filled with glue from when they assembled it. And there's just, I'm gonna actually just upgrade my gun. I'm gonna buy a air pressure regulator for my gun, and I'm gonna come up with some better water trap system, because I did get one drip of water that came out of the gun itself, dripped onto the primer. Upgrades here in the coming days, and then come back at this before the color coat with a little bit better setup. So look forward to that, guys. If you enjoyed this, give me a sub and click like on the video if you would, please. If you have any questions or suggestions or advice for me, just put that down below in the comments. I like to talk to you guys down there. Otherwise, guys, I will see you guys on the next one.